Hey, lovely people, as we look forward to the season of Valentine's, I know some people are under pressure right now. Some people are thinking, I don't have anyone, and some have someone, and it looks like they have no one. But the beautiful thing about relationships, about life, about marriage, about love is that we must keep trying, we must keep putting in the work, and we must keep hoping because hope for me is the bedrock of any and every relationship. So whether you're preparing for marriage or you are in that season right now, where you're not even sure if somebody is coming or there will be someone in the next phase of your life, I want you to hold on to these lessons because they will help you in the near future when that loved one comes along your way. And if you're already in a marriage and you're thinking or having second thoughts right now, or you're having issues in that marriage, I want to bring a message of hope to you right now to tell you that sometimes all that it takes is for us to make that effort to rekindle the love in our marriages and in our relationships. Because sometimes we truly forget that marriage is just a continuation of that love relationship that I already have. So, yes, I'm in love with somebody, or I like this guy, or I like this lady. Marriage is a seal of the commitment we have made to each other to be together. So, really, what we're doing is that we're continuing that friendship, but this time it's now a commitment. And so, for us to carry on in that commitment successfully, we have a duty to rekindle it all the time, to rekindle the flame in our marriage all the time. Especially now as we look forward to the season of Valentine's, what better day or what better time is it for you to rekindle the love in your marriage without fail, without doubt, trying that very thing that you did right at the beginning? So I'm going to share with you some tips today, perhaps. Let's give it a theme. So some tips to rekindle your marriage, to rekindle the love in your marriage. And I'll be looking down. So if you see me looking down, it's just because I've got my notes here, but I'll let it flow, from my heart also, because I want to be as real with you as possible. I shared a video a while back and I said marriage sometimes is not 100. There are times that the other person is not getting it. There are times they're not understanding. I've been married now for 18 years, so I can at least share some things with you. There are times that I did not understand. There are times I did not get it. Flip it. There are times my husband too didn't. And what mattered at that point is the strength of the other person. Now, when it comes to rekindling the love in your marriage, sometimes it may be you who needs to do the work. Rather than waiting on your spouse to jump in, which they will at some point, you might have to be the one to at least start that flame of love rather than waiting on them. Oh, they haven't done this for me. Oh, they haven't bought the gift. Oh, they haven't sacrificed. Even this Valentine's Day, you're already thinking, oh, this man does not give me gifts. So I'm not even going to bother. I'm not going to bother doing anything. No, that's a wrong turn. I've learned in marriage that when you're expecting something from your spouse, you sometimes must be ready to start doing it first. That way, you're modeling to them what your expectations are. Perhaps when you're doing it also, you chip it in to tell them that, look, I'm doing this. I'd love you also to do this for me. I'm doing this now. I'd love you also to do this next time. Or you ask them, how did this make you feel? Maybe it's an act of service. Maybe it's a gift that you have given to them or something you have said to them. And you see that they enjoy, hearing it or they enjoyed receiving the gift. You can also tell them, now I'm giving you this gift. I'm happy that you feel this way. But next time I would also expect, there's nothing wrong with telling your spouse that. I would also expect that you do this for me because it will actually make my day. It will actually make me happy. Stop this habit of bottling up your pain or bottling up what your expectations are. Don't bottle up your expectations. Listen, I always say to my husband says that to me as well. Marriage is not to be endured, marriage is to be enjoyed. I'll say it again. Marriage is not to be endured, marriage is to be enjoyed. The things we will endure are perhaps the things that life will throw at us, which we have no control over, but we're doing something about them. Not that we're enduring, inflicting pain on ourselves or enduring or allowing the person bottle up pain. No, that's not the kind of life you want to live. You want a marriage where you can openly share and communicate your feelings without feeling victimized, without being looked down on, without being swept to the side, or your opinion swept to the side, or without being dismissed. So that's what marriage should be. So if you feel that way, you've done something for your spouse over and over, please give them a word to that, look, I'm doing this for you, and next time I would like to do this. So, one of the most important or first ways, if I'm to put it like that, to rekindle the love in your marriage is to model the things that you want to see. So, that expectation you have, stop holding back from doing your own part. Model it to your spouse. Let them see this is what I'm doing. And if they keep failing at what they should do each time, then you might draw back a little and explain to them why you will not continue because you do feel taken advantage of. So there are times like that also in marriage. Marriage is a school in itself. There are times as well where you would have to pause and say to your spouse, look, I've been the one doing this and this and this, and I expect you to step up, right? Because we're talking about kindling the flame of love in our marriage. So it should be both of us pouring into each other to make sure that this flame, really comes alive. And guess what? We're going to enjoy this flame together. So why are we not doing it together? So that's one thing you can do for your spouse. Model to them what you want them to learn, and perhaps put a little bit of words here and there or a little note to tell them that next time you would expect this from them. Another thing you can do to rekindle the flame in your marriage is to practice the act of affectionate touch. Your touch must not always be sexual. Your touch must not always be sexual. Your spouse must not feel that each time you touch them, you just want to have sex. Your spouse is not a sexual material, not an object to be used. Especially this goes for the men. In certain cultures, all over the world, some men are guilty of touching their wives only when they want to have sex. No, your touch should not always be sexual. There are times you should just touch your spouse, your wife, as an affirming touch, a touch of assurance, a touch of hope, just to say, I'm here for you. That's why I'm holding your hand, just to give you a little bit of warmth and comfort. So it's not just that when you touch your wife, she feels, oh, he wants to have sex. And that's the reason some marriages have sexual problems, because your spouse just knows that every time you touch them, oh, it's time for sex. It's actually wrong. Go back to touching your spouse affectionately. And also the woman, please respond to that touch. Don't ignore your husband's touch. So if he wants to touch you, please don't run away from the touch. Enjoy it while it lasts. Touch itself is very therapeutic, apart from talking. So when a person touches you, there's something that it communicates, especially your loved ones holding you by the hand, touching you on the back, or even giving you a pat on the back, or touching your face. I always find that very soothing. The touch on the face by my husband is very soothing, because I know he's the only one that can come that close, to touch me on my face. Of course, apart from my children or people that are really, really dear to me, so it means a lot to me. It says, I'm here for you. I'm the one that loves you. I'm your lover. It communicates so many things to me. So don't hold back from touching your spouse affectionately. Let's go back to doing that so that we can rekindle the flame in our next one, which I know a lot of people will love, particularly the male folk, is making sex the priority. So if you want to rekindle love in your marriage, love is an emotion, love is also an act. So beyond emotional love and beyond the touch and all of that, beyond the talk and the doings and the verb itself, love can be expressed in marriage through sex. And in fact, it should be expressed in marriage through regular sex. So make sex a priority in your marriage. You're married. So why are you holding back from having sex? Good sex with your husband or your wife. Why are you dictating? Why are you trading, sex? Give me a gift and then I'll have sex with you. Do this for me, I'll have sex with you. You're angry with your wife. You withhold sex from your wife for months and months just because you are upset. That is absolutely disgraceful and childish. So if you're doing that, oh, come on, it's time to stop. Get rid of it. It's a terrible habit. Enjoy your sex life. The more sex you have, the closer you become. Sex itself is a covenant. So when you're having regular sex with your spouse, you're cutting a covenant with them. Nobody else can have access to them on that level. So it's a big deal. It's a covenant. It's superior to any other covenant and to any other, friendship in the world. So don't withhold sex from your spouse. Don't use it as a tool to punish your spouse. Not at all. Let's grow up. Use sex properly in your marriage and enjoy your sex life. The more sex you have, the closer you become. Have you read also, it will interest you to know that there's a research that says that men who have regular sex and women who have regular sex in their marriages are happier and healthier. So that's another reason why you should have regular sex in your marriage. Apart from the covenant, it makes you healthy. It makes you feel fulfilled. This is your person. This is your husband. This is yours. This is mine. There's a feeling to it. And if we're doing it right the way that God expects us to do it, then the beauty of it is just endless. And the more you grow in your marriage and mature, the more your sex life becomes even more beautiful because now you have a better understanding of each other's bodies. You know yourselves very well and you know yourself intimately, which is beautiful. So don't hold back that sex life. Rekindle it again this Valentine's season and keep up at it. Don't be a lazy sex partner. All right. So don't say, oh, I've been married for 10 years, I've been married for 12 years. What's new? There's always something new. Sex is beautiful. The more you explore, the deeper you get with it, and the more beautiful it gets with you and your spouse. And that's what it should be. So don't hold back. Another way you can fan this flame of love in your marriage is to do the things you did at the beginning. I don't know why there are times that people feel that what they did at the beginning does not matter anymore. The moment I'm married to you now, I don't need to try. You already did there. No, that's the more reason you should do those things even much more than you did at the beginning. It's time for you to do them even much more. So go back to those endearing things. What are the things that endeared you to your spouse? Or, let's flip it. What are the things that your spouse loved about you at the beginning? And that's the reason they got married to you. Don't stop doing those things. Go back. Were you very respectful? Don't be rude. Don't change it. Were you very loving? Don't become beastly now that you're married. Don't think that you're a champion, you're a king now. I can do whatever I like. Or, yeah, I'm the woman of the house. No, 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 no. Go back to doing those things you did at the beginning. Be kind to your spouse. Be affectionate. Be loving. Be helpful, just like you were at the beginning. Be thoughtful, just like you were at the beginning. If you saw some people when they were dating and the way they are right now, you'll be shocked. You say, what happened? What happened? The transformation is like two different people. No, it shouldn't be that way. It almost seems as though there are times in marriage you think, did you trick this person into marrying you? You created this fake image about yourself, and now they're married to you. It's something else. No, let's not do that to each other. If you want to keep this flame of love alive in your marriage, you need to go back to doing those things you did at the beginning. Serve them without thinking of what you can get back. Just serve them, just like you did before. They didn't have to demand for you to call them. You just called. You knew it was the right thing to do. So why is it that now that you're married, you feel you don't need to do it? You need to call them even much more. You checked on them, they didn't demand for it. You bought them gifts without, them having to demand for it. You loved their spouse, their family members. They didn't have to ask you to do it. You just loved their parents, you respected them, but now you're married to them, you're treating them badly. No, if you want to rekindle this flame of love in your marriage, then go back to doing the endearing things you did at the beginning and let's work on our character. I'm going to also say that another way you can rekindle the flame is to give attention and please listen to your spouse. I'm big on this. Listen to what your spouse has to say. Don't be dismissive of whatever they have to say. When someone listens to you, it's a way of expressing love. It's a way to say that you matter. When people listen to you, feel like you matter. Sometimes even when they won't do anything about the fact at least they took that first step to listen to you makes you feel important. And who should make your spouse feel more important? You should be the one. You should be the one making them feel like you're the jewel in my life. Whatever you have to say matters to me. Your tears matter to me. Never get to the point as a man where you don't listen anymore or as a woman where you don't listen anymore. No, listen to what your spouse has to say. Be attentive to what they have to say. Pay attention, even when you have a different opinion, just pay attention at that time. Give them that attention at that time, and then perhaps bring up your own suggestion, and then you wrap it up together, in agreement. Never dismiss what your spouse is saying. It's really belittling when a husband or wife dismisses what you're saying or they don't take to your advice. They like to do what other people suggest to them, but they will never do what you suggest. They will never tell you why they're not doing it. They just dismiss it. It's very, very unloving, actually. So if you want to rekindle that flame again, please pay attention to your spouse and listen. Lastly, I would say give room for improvement. permit and celebrate it. Stop focusing on the failures that happened in your marriage, last year, 2 years ago, 10 years ago. Stop focusing on that. Yesterday is gone. Yesterday is already in the tomb. Today is another day. So you might as well fan it to flame and say, you know what? Let's forget what happened before. Let's focus on today and the future. We have a saying in our marriage, while we may not be able to do anything about the past or the things that have happened to us before, we can do something about the present and the future. So let's focus on what's going on right now. Beautify what you have. Stop looking across the fence. The grass is greener on the other side because somebody watered it. So why not water your own grass? Make it green. Watch it go green. Let it glow and serve you. Enjoy your marriage. Improve on yourself as an individual. Don't be stuck up in your own ways and expect change. It's not going to happen. We have to keep changing. We have to keep improving, and we have to keep loving on each other. The more love you give, the more love you get. It's that simple. Let's rekindle this love again. Let's fan it to flames and enjoy what we have. From the Couples Club, we wish you a very happy Valentine's Day, and we're sending you so much love. Enjoy the season. And if you're not in a relationship, please, it's not the end of the world. While you're waiting and praying, please enjoy being single. Singleness is not a curse. It's actually a blessing. It's a season to discover yourself and learn and develop as much as possible for that special someone who's also developed, who has taken their time to develop themselves just like you have. So have a wonderful Valentine's Day. God bless you now. Take care. Bye bye.